My keys. Go ahead, Carmen. Start the countdown.
I want to get back to Puffy.
All right.
I want to get back to Puffy.
Here we go. We started with the BS already. What's up? This is the Insta News Break. Diddy did it. He did it. And that's why we're here. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Saint CJ, and tonight on Insta News Break, we have Juicy Pop co-host Miss J, entertainment and former classmate of Mr. Combs himself, James Walker Jr., and published and rolling out journalist Christal Jordan. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, CJ. Hello, everyone. How are you guys?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen,
hello.
There's so many cheap antics going on. I had to get my cheap wine. Stella Rose, thanks. Thank you. You're definitely going to be contributing to this night of hot topics that we got going on. And it's all about Diddy. Diddy did it. We was all wondering before Diddy do it, and now we know Diddy did it. So tonight we're in the latest hot topics, including surveillance footage of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs physically assaulting his former longtime girlfriend Cassie Ventura, celebrity reaction, LA prosecutor's office announcing no criminal charges will be filed, Sean Diddy Combs social media apology 48 hours later, and what now could there be more? And what are the feds waiting for? Y'all ready to get into this?
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready, CJ.
Go for it, Jordan.
Okay, guys. So let's get into these topics. So on Friday, CNN delivered shockwaves throughout the entire world. On Friday, we saw a newly released surveillance video that shows Diddy beating up Cassie Ventura, his longtime girlfriend at the time, who is now his ex-girlfriend, back in 2016. This was at a hotel that is now closed in LA. The crazy thing is Diddy denied these accusations when they first came out. He said that they were lies, that it was not true, that he did not do anything. But the crazy thing is Cassie came out with a lawsuit back in November, and it corroborates with everything that is shown in this video. And she also stated in her lawsuit that Diddy was also accused of raping her, subjecting her to years of repeated physical, sex trafficking, and other abuse. So with this video coming out that CNN has now obtained and released, you can see Diddy violently grabbing, shoving, dragging, kicking Cassie. It's crazy, CJ.
It's truly crazy. Like I don't even really know what to say because there's so much to unpack here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with this video. Okay? Carmen, you gonna throw up the video? I'm sorry. I don't know right now.
We need to watch it again.
Yeah,
I think we do. I think we
could do a small little recap on it, just to refresh everyone's memory.
So if you haven't seen the video, pretty much what happened in the video, Cassie really trying to walk away, trying to get away. It's obvious that she's fleeing. Then the next thing you know, you see naked Diddy running out of the towel. Like, obviously he wasn't worried about other guests. He didn't really care about other guests. So Next thing we see is him striking Cassie, yanking her, pulling her by her head, and then viciously stomping her. James.
Yes.
What were your thoughts when you saw this footage?
Well, I was disappointed because he's a classmate. Good evening, Miss J. Good evening, Crystal, and good evening, you, Saint. Good evening. But I was very disappointed as a classmate because, I've seen Sean scream on campus. I've seen him be aggressive. I've seen him, promote parties with us. We all promoted parties back in the day at Howard and did very well. Is how we both got in the industry. And if you would have told me he would do something so horrific, I would have really said, no, he's a little, tough. He's a little whatever, but he ain't crazy. He from Mount Vernon. He ain't that dude. I would have thought he wasn't that dude. But we all know this industry can intoxicate us to kind of believe in this false sense of the rules don't apply or I'm in charge, you do what I say. And this poor woman, I mean, first and foremost, I should have said prayers go out to Cassie. That should have been the first thing I should have said because I know her, I've met her. She's a Connecticut girl. I don't know her personally, but obviously I know her from being in the industry and I've seen them at various functions. So my prayers go out to her, her family, her parents who have to see this. I mean, I send all my prayers out to them. But regarding Mr. Combs, when Tiger Woods became Tiger and no longer Eldrick, that's when he lost it. The guy we knew at Howard was Puff, Sean Combs. When he became Diddy and Puff Daddy and all of these caricatures, he kind of lost his way. I think he needs to go back to being Sean Combs. And I did think he should have been locked up. However, we know under the statute, they can't lock him up because this is an 8-year-old video and it happened out of the time frame. But what it does do is it's very what we call instructive, and you can use it to probe into these other cases. And I think that's the problem he has here. This footage plays directly into many of the allegations of the civil lawsuits. And of course, it confirms every page of Cassie's complaint. Now, the reason he didn't say Cassie's name, everyone should be clear, is because you probably can't say her name anymore under the settlement agreement. He probably can't discuss the case. He can't discuss his involvement with her or anything of that nature. So I see a lot of people saying, well, why didn't he apologize to Cassie? He can't really call her by name.
Okay, so let me dive into this first because everybody's like, why is this footage coming out now, right? And then we came to find out that allegedly Diddy paid the hotel $50,000 to actually get the video and for it to like never come out. So then the question is like, how do you think CNN obtained it? Do you think this all is coming out because when the feds raided his house? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
To me, I want a lot of the others. Are you asking me, CJ?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm asking the lawyer first.
Okay. Oh, it's clear what happened here. The people who raided his house, they have videos and they're leaking them intentionally. This is no coincidence. CNN would not put a video up unless it was from a very, very respected source. I was a CNN legal analyst for 3 years as a guest analyst about 10 or so years ago, and I know them very well. They would not run a video like this without it coming from a very, very reliable source. So either one or two things happened. The feds and Homeland Security who raided his house and went through all of the private rooms and the computers and the different things he had, what do you call it, where you keep your information private? I'm going blank, but the different kind of storage areas that you have for these kind of videos. Safes, vault safes. They got into the safes and they're leaking this so that others will come forward. And they not only did this get leaked, but then they issued a statement. I've never seen police or authorities issue a statement to say, we've seen the video. We can't do nothing about this video. However, if you guys know of someone who's had this happen to them, please call us at 1-213-555. I've never seen this happen before. And before I was a lawyer, I was a homicide reporter. So I worked closely with police for about 5 years before I went to journalism school and entertainment law. So I'm very familiar with the thinkings of police or how they do these things. This tape was strategically released on the biggest national network of all, CNN. And now anybody who's out there can come forward while they're still building their case against him. Don't think that they're not probably talking to a grand jury. They're probably not. They're interviewing people. Cassie's lawyer keeps saying, I'm going to cooperate, Mr. Wignor, I'm going to cooperate, I'm going to cooperate. So this is not a coincidence. This is very, very intentional. And I think his video apology was probably the dumbest thing he could have done.
And that's where Miss Christal Jordan comes in. Christal, you being a woman, first of all, I know it was very hard for me to watch. And even myself, I have been a part of a DV situation. So I felt, because in the very moment something like that happens, you don't even go in fight mode. You go into like protection mode just to cover yourself, to like, try to less damage as possible.
Right.
So how did you feel when you saw that video?
Well, before the video, I read her entire lawsuit. And while, you know, I'm a writer, and I'm also, as a writer, you read, that's our life. And so if you read the entire document, it is painful to actually read and recount all the things that are laid out in that document. So I would say my first response with this whole situation was to read that. And then, of course, working in the entertainment industry, you know, for the last almost 20 years, I've been around Cassie and Diddy. I've seen her looking kind of like sometimes not herself. But when you remember those situations and then you read, and from her words, and from her team's words, what was going on, it was heartbreaking. It was sickening. It was disgusting. And then to actually see that play out, the visual was extremely hard to watch. I definitely did not. And unfortunately, it's everywhere. But, you know, I was talking to some other people in the industry, and they're like, it probably needs to be everywhere, because at this point, people really need to understand that this is not just, you know, whenever something happens and a woman comes out and says something happened to her, specifically when it's a woman of color, there are usually so many people that want to discredit her story by saying, I saw people saying, what could she have done to elicit this? What happened before that? Or why did she stay? You know, and all these things that people say are irrelevant to the situation. But when you see it actually happening, then you realize how asinine that is to make statements like that. And so for that reason, I am glad that we are able to see this. I definitely agree with James. This is, you know, from a strategy point of view, this is not by coincidence. Her lawsuit was shared with the New York Post first. If you guys notice, you know, those of us that follow entertainment, usually things are leaked by it may be People Magazine, it could be TMZ or something like that. But the fact that it was at the New York Post and the New York Times and those type of credible sources that have journalistic integrity and are going to do a lot of fact checking first and are known for being the highest level of authenticity and integrity when it comes to journalism speaks a lot to how this is rolling out. And then when the tape was leaked to CNN, I was like, wow, this is setting up for a much, much bigger case. And also, just quite honestly, what people are not saying is there are so many people that were in the entertainment industry, like myself, that have heard this for years. Seeing it and hearing it are two very different things. But what makes me sick is that not only this happened to her, but there are so many people that knew about this. There are so many people that, you know, were part of the rumor mill talking and gossiping and knew this was happening and did not come to this young woman's aid or any of the other victims in numerous cases. And so I think the entertainment industry has a culture that is extremely toxic. And I think this is kind of like a year of reckoning, if you will, for the entertainment industry specifically.
I agree. I don't, what's getting me right now is how many more celebrity apologies are about to come up? How many more celebrities are actually going to say like, yo, dude, like what you did was wrong. But the thing about it is y'all knew this was going on a long time ago. Right?
Exactly. So that part, but the other thing about it is if you were aligned with Mr. Combs, you right now are trying to keep your distance because you don't want to pop up on a video. You don't want to pop up referenced in any court documents or any of the victims that are coming forward. You know, in Little Rod's lawsuit, the most recent one filed, he names a lot of people. He describes me as an R&B singer or a Philly rapper. So a lot of people are nervous right now as to, am I going to be implicated here by association? Which leads to kind of the point you're alluding to, CJ. I said this on social media earlier today. I'm disappointed because there are people in this side of the industry, hip hop, R&B, pop, who kind of look the other way. Absolutely. People inside of Bad Boy Records, inside of Daddy's House, all throughout the chain of companies that he has. And at some point, someone should have said, yo, man, we got to get you some help. You got to get checked. Like, this is crazy, because we all watch Making the Band. We all know a lot of the inside stories. So this is not a one-off. This is someone who clearly, you know, has an issue. And I just wish somebody would have stopped him before it got here. And that doesn't look like it's the first time. She is scared. She is trying to escape. She is at an elevator. She has her back. And if you watch it closely, the way she's walking, it's kind of like that. I'm trying to sneak out of here. You know, I'm trying to get out of here before he wakes up or before somebody discovers me. And you see him come running down the hall real quickly. That really kind of alarmed me. And I was glad we didn't have sound. I was really glad we didn't have sound, because I think it would have been so traumatic for all of us, and even women who've been through this, to watch video with the sound. I think we can kind of, in our own imagination, most likely figure like what that moment was like for her. And she shared in her lawsuit what it's like, but I would hate for her to have to relive the sound of it. You know, the visual is enough. And I would hate for her or any other woman to have to relive it. So my thing is, he should have been locked up and pay the price, and then figure out going forward, you can't sell records no more. You can't have a restaurant no more. You can't have a clothing line no more. Your whole focus has to be to the betterment of helping the fight against domestic abuse. That would be my whole kind of message to him. It wouldn't have been to do this video. It would have been to say, you know, I'm checking in somewhere. I'm donating money. I'm volunteering. I don't want it televised. I don't want my publicist issuing statements. I'm just going to go do the work, and I'll see y'all in 5 years. That's hopefully married and settled in 5 years.
What was very interesting to me even about the video itself, because obviously he's running down a hallway in a hotel where there are other rooms. All, like you said, there's no sound, but all the commotion that you could possibly think could be coming out of that sound, and nobody was there. Nobody came out. I was like, how is that even possible? But then I sat there and thought, he probably bought out the whole floor. So if all his people were in there, they're like, they at it again. You know what I'm saying? So then it just draws more to the imagination of like, this girl was not safe, and she never felt safe. And her trying to sneak out was the only way. And then like, that man sat in a chair and threw a vase that had flowers in it against the wall, still in a towel.
CJ, I'm sorry, Crystal. I was going to say, even to that point, since the release of the footage, there have been so many celebrities that have publicly supported Diddy, who are now turning and changing their words and actually now supporting Cassie instead. Some of them include Ryan Clark, Lunel, and even Slim Thug. He came out and he apologized basically for saying that Cassie was basically trying to get Diddy for all of his money. And so what he pretty much said is, damn, Diddy, I tried to ride with the black man who had no charges yet, but I can't stand behind this. I'll take this L. But I still will ride with the people until I see some sort of proof that I don't believe in blogs or civil suits. Apologies to Cassie and whoever else was on the right side this time. And to me, it's just disheartening to everything that you guys have said, because why did it take for this video footage to come out in order for you guys to decide to show support for this lady? What did she gain by lying on Diddy? Like, she had her career. She's pretty much done. She's moved on with her life. She's gotten married. She has 2 kids now. She has moved forward. Right. But even to Lil Rod and everyone else who have come out with lawsuits, these are things that we've been hearing about Diddy in the industry for a very long time. And so now that she has come out, she's showing proof. And even in addition to this video coming out, but just her word was not enough. And there's been so many times where we victim shame because we don't have this proof. But now that we have it, everybody wants to show support and solidarity towards Cassie. Now, Christal, my question is to you. We've heard these statements from former artists like Aubrey O'Day as well as Mace in the past about Diddy's business practices and his abuse of power. What do you believe we haven't seen more public? Why do you believe that we haven't seen more public support from former artists and associates like Mary J. Blige, Little Kim, Faith, like all of those people that were with Diddy?
Well, I think just being honest, Miss J and everybody here, you guys, we're all in the business, and we understand that specifically when it comes to the urban music business, there is this idea of, don't say anything, don't tell. There's no way that people did not know this was going on. I've even talked to people that have told me they knew this was going on, talked to people about other people that have had similar situations where there was sexual abuse. And there's a culture that is nurtured in entertainment that if you say something, you can be blackballed and you can be ostracized, and that can affect your career. Specifically from, years ago, I mean, this is a very powerful person. Diddy was very, very powerful, very, very liked, a huge star, not just an urban star, a crossover star. And there's a lot of power there, and I think there's two problems. I think there's the idea that people feel like if I do say something, that's going to affect me, and that could affect my livelihood. And although that's hard to understand, we have to realize that artists are making a living, feeding their families off of what they are able to create. And so I try to show grace for some of that, because sometimes it's like, well, why would you just be complicit and go along with that? But for some of them, this could be the way they are feeding their families, and we have no idea how that works. The problem is the system is set up to be very, very patriarchal and misogynistic. And so when a woman specifically says something, she is automatically questioned. Automatically people start to look and say, I actually saw people say, what did she say to him to deserve that? Like that is the way the culture is set up to respond to women. And I think even listening to, what Slim Thug said and different people that have came out first and said that she was just after money. Now, not saying that doesn't happen often, because often we do see people, not just women, but people accuse people of celebrities of things in order to get money. But there has to be a safe space for women to basically have a voice and stand up against being victimized without automatically being lumped and basically persecuted themselves. I've talked to women in the business that don't want to share something that has happened to them, either rape or sexual assault or physical violence, because they don't want to be blackballed by the rest of the industry. That is a problem. And hopefully this situation can be a part. I think the R. Kelly situation that was finally handled a few years ago, that happened for 20 years. You know what I mean? Look how long it took for these women to get justice in that case, in this case, and there's probably going to be a lot more. But at least there's a change. And I think there's a changing of the guard in the way people are responding to women standing up.
Let me add, Christal, I thought you were going to mention Wendy Williams, the way her job was handled years ago when she was trying to report on a lot of these things and a lot of the infractions and kind of criminality of things. The rumor is that Sean Combs allegedly had her fired from one of the radio stations in New York, and she had to run to Philly. So, I mean, you are correct. And I think that's why there's been kind of this eerie silence from a lot of the artists who were signed to Bad Boy and songwriters and producers. Everyone's quiet because either A, they knew about it, or B, they fear retaliation if they speak about it. So either one of the two is a no winner.
So let me ask you this, because of the position he's in now, right? Do you really think that fear is still like 100% solid in terms of like what his reach actually can do? Because you got people like Mary J. Blige that are still like family to his kids. And then you have Little Kim, who's been there ever since Jump. And people like Locks and Faith. I mean, it's alleged Faith went through her own stuff when it even came to Biggie. So with that being said, it's like now at this very moment in time, it's like, how can they sit here and literally say, I stand with my friend because I feel for my friend in terms of what he's going through. But at the same time, it's a whole monster in the same picture. It's the same face.
Well, unfortunately, these people, I was a publicist for almost 20 years. And so I realized there's a lot more at stake here than just, speaking out against someone who you may believe yourself is wrong and you may see as a monster yourself. At this point, anyone that says something after all this time in 2024 that has been a part of that camp for almost 20 years is going to look suspect themselves. The first question is going to be, why didn't you say something? Why have you been okay this whole time? There was Bad Boy 25th anniversary a few years ago, and all the artists, and a lot of them have come out and said things out. But look at how the ones that have said things have been treated. Look how Aubrey O'Day, people look at her with the side eye because she has spoken out. But I think before you ask someone like that to stand up, you have to realize what that means for their career. Number one, how they're going to work and explain it to where they don't look crazy, right? And then also there's still an industry, even if he doesn't have, I don't think people are looking at Diddy like someone that could hurt them at this point, specifically because he's been compromised financially and definitely his public image has been tarnished. So I think there's some vulnerability there as far as what he's able to do. But I do think the rest of the industry is a very internal, it's almost incestuous at some point. People that are a part of it are going to look at that person like they're a traitor, and there could be some feelings there. So it's not just about the person. It's really about the camaraderie. Those artists are all connected. There's more that they have invested in these relationships than I think a lot of people understand. And I'm saying that playing devil's advocate because it does hurt me to see there are so many women involved in that camp that have had to know about this, not just with Cassie, but allegedly with other women that have been involved with him over the years past. Like, we just can't, like, this isn't happening.
Let me inject something that I'm getting from people watching the feed. If I were an artist signed to his label right now, this would be the time I would demand my release. I would demand my release, termination of everything, because you're so morally bankrupt right now. You're going to impact my record sales. If I'm signed to Bad Boy or Sean Combs Publishing, Justin Combs Publishing, any of the entities, I would immediately demand my release.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because you can't deliver the goods. And to your question earlier,
that court of public opinion is like, okay, so now you're getting off. Like it's still, even though I agree, you still can get backlash because of that. Like, imagine.
No, but they've been trying to get off for a while. Excuse me for interjecting, but a lot of the artists have been trying to get free for years. And to CJ's question about some of them not speaking out or doing this, in the words of the great Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, who we all know has been on the drum roll, you can't talk Puffy without discussing 50 Cent right now. But what's funny is 50 Cent actually said the most brilliant thing 2 or 3 weeks ago. He said Puffy has FU money. And that's a powerful statement, because what he's essentially saying is, while we might beat Puffy up today and the video comes out, all these lawsuits, he'll settle them for 10, 20 million. Some of them might even be settled by his insurance carrier if they name corporate defendants. So the way these guys do it smart at his level is they settle it, but they never write a check. So he still has his 500 million, 600 million in liquid cash to mess with people and to make life very difficult for some folks. That's why 50 Cent said Puffy has kind of FU money, meaning you mess with me, I can just bother you just because I got the money.
Yes.
Right.
So another reason to your question, CJ, why some people are a little reticent and really jumping out there and saying what they want to say, because their wallet can't stand up against his wallet. And a lot of times their legal team, their management team, many of them are afraid to kind of go a Puff or, one of the major labels. And I want to say this, in my experience with him on the business side, his label, that is, a lot of times when you try to get somebody free, Puff will go around you, bring the person to his home, give them money. A lot of the stuff Little Rod talks about in his lawsuit, that stuff actually happens. So it's very hard to get people untangled from him unless they get to the point where Mason Bethel got to. Mace got to a point where he said, I'm out of here. I'm speaking out. I'm doing me. But a lot of folks, I'm right there at the table, about to get them what they want, about to get them paid through the roof. And all of a sudden they call me in the middle of the night and say, yo, Jay, back off. I spoke to Puff. We're going to work this out. And I'm not going to name names, but you would know all their records.
Well, I'm gonna say this. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick break and break straight out just like Mace did back when he did, and we're gonna come with the
same pimp, same lip, same lip, same pimp.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Okay.
I have to let you know.
I don't know. I know I was late. You feel me? But at the end of the day, it's just like, a girl is hustling.
First off, tell me what is
Can
the
I speak?
issue? When I'm finished.
Okay.
What is the issue? Now you can speak.
Well, it's not an issue. It's basically things run into
It is
things.
an issue.
Well, for me, on a personal standpoint, it's the issue as a business within the organization in Style Atlanta. But for me, it's more or less makeup appointments.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. But sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I hit rock bottom. But I made no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
So we are back with entertainment attorney and Diddy's former classmate, Mr. James Walker Jr., and publicist rolling out journalist Christal Jordan, and my co-host, Ms. J, talking about the surveillance footage of Sean Diddy Combs physically assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Almost 48 hours after the release of the evidence of the abuse, Sean has apologized via an Instagram post stating it's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you got to do that. He continues, I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I am disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. Combs did not mention Ventura by name. Christal, when you saw this apology as a publicist, what was your first thought, and was this a good idea?
This was a horrible idea. This was obviously an emotional reaction to the fact that people were going crazy on him online because of the video. The video was out. The video was globally released, so it's everywhere. And he made an emotional decision. I cannot believe that any crisis team, and we know he has access to that, would have instructed him to do that. It did not feel authentic, specifically because 2 days prior, he had just released an Instagram post that said, "Time will tell," and that a month before that, he put out a statement that all the allegations against him were absolutely false, and that he was going to fight to the fullest extent of the law. So this was a first of all, it was a bad idea to even do a video statement, because people, especially that soon after the video, no one was going to want to hear from him. But if he did put out a statement, I definitely don't think it needed to. Well, the wording was all wrong. He did not take actual accountability for, number one, being dishonest. There's a lot you need to do if you're going to take accountability, and saying that you hit rock bottom and that you were wrong is just not enough, specifically after what we saw. So I think it was a horrible decision. I think, like I said, it was definitely made out of emotions, but I also feel like it was arrogant, because I feel like he has always been able to get out of anything, over the years, 25 or 30 so years that he's been on top. He's always come out on top, right? There's been grumblings, there's been all these different things that have happened, but he's always beat it. And so I think that was a really arrogant move, that he is not really aware that this is something very different, and that he really should have allowed a real crisis communications team to come in and help him with that. But I don't even know at this point. Someone would take it because, like James said, there's money involved. So there will always be people that will work for someone that has the resources to pay them. But it definitely was not handled correctly.
If you're going to do that, and I've been in crisis with, some obviously well-known artists, if you're going to do something like that, the counsel and the PR team get together. First of all, you don't want to say anything that can be used against you in your other civil matters. I would run this tape in the civil cases now. It's the best admission of guilt that I can use in my civil settlements. Right now, those 4 other lawsuits that are pending, I'm sure all of those plaintiffs' lawyers are downloading this video, sending it to Puffy's lawyers and saying, hey, do you want me to write a number on a piece of paper or email you what amount we'll take now? So that's the first thing. The other side of the coin, to Crystal's point, if you're going to do this kind of video against my advisory, then you need to tell me what you're going to do. And what I mean by that is you need to come on and come strong and say, okay, 1, I'm sorry. 2, I've signed up with so-and-so therapy session. I've been in it 2 years now. I'm not done. I got 2 more years. 3, I've given $5 million to so-and-so charity. 4, I'm closing my record label. 5, I'm doing this. And 6, I want to apologize to my kids and my daughters. This is not what I want them to see in a man. Like, it's got to come that strong if you want to do this. Now, like Crystal said, I would never advise a client to do this, Ms. J. But if a client wants to do this, then we're going to come and we're going to bring like real results so that people can see, hey, I've apologized. I've given money. I'm doing the work. I'm going to continue to do the work. And I'm embarrassed before my kids. And I probably, Crystal, would you have a partner there? Sometimes you have the partner there like Ray Rice did.
Yeah, I would. I was going to ask you, would you have wanted him to be on video? Because I definitely would not have wanted, I would have wanted a written statement because especially this quickly, if you were going to do it this quickly, because people are seeing in their mind the visual of that video.
Right.
There's no way that they're going to be able to even listen. Most people weren't even listening to what he said because they were still seeing the enraged Diddy beating this small, beautiful, frail one. Like there's no way that he should have addressed it.
He's always flexing with his children. Is there thought to having the live with the children, the pastor, the girlfriend, the whole family for moral support? I'm not a publicist, but anything better.
I don't think so.
You know what I'm about to say. Hold on. Because who was it? Dr. Umar, what's his name?
Yeah, Dr. Umar.
Yeah. Dr. Umar done laid it all out. A whole new blueprint, ministry blueprint that Reverend T.D. Jakes is about to come in, swoop in, and be Diddy's knight in shining, glorified Heavenly Father armor. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make him create a church. So where now he's become the godly man. So I guess he'll probably reconnect with Mace. And then at that point, now they have decided to go and make their own versions of the Bible and then start preaching every Sunday with Bible study on Wednesday. Like, my personal opinion. And I can also see Miss J, my co-host, looking like she got something she want to say. You have laid your bed at this point by coming out and saying like, "Oh, this is completely false. None of this has ever happened. I am not this person." At this point, I think honestly, Crystal, he probably did have the crisis team. They were like, "Okay, hold on, don't do that." He was like, "No, I already listened to y'all and look where it got me. So now I'm just about to do it on my own." You're right in terms of the fact that nobody was listening to the words that he was saying. But I personally wasn't even going back to the video I saw. I was looking in that man's eyes. And looking in that man's eyes, what I saw was, I fucked up. And I should have never put that first statement out like I did. I should have said back then, there were times where I had dark times. And there's stuff I've probably done that I don't have an answer for. But however I can fix it or whatever I need to do, then do that. I feel like at that point, there's no true admission of guilt. There's like a need to take some type of accountability of something. But when something like this does come out, because people are like, there's some people like, "Oh, she playing. He ain't never do nothing like that." And so they see this and they're like, "What damn?" Miss J?
And I was going to even say, CJ, even to your point, with all of this coming out, with him coming out with this statement, it was best for him to stay quiet. Because my concern is, even to all of you guys concerned, his kids. You have 4 daughters of your own. What do you say to your daughters? What do you say to your sons? You have 3 sons that you have to explain your behavior and your actions to. You're supposed to be setting an example for all of them. You're supposed to set an example to your sons, how they're supposed to treat a woman, and to your daughters, how a man is supposed to treat them. So for them to see this video, for all of these lawsuits to be out against you, people are not pulling this out of their ass for no reason. All of these accusations are coming out for a reason. You have continued to do this behavior for years, for over 20 years. People have constantly come out and accused Diddy of abuse, whether it was sexual, physical, mental, financial, whatever the questions may be at hand. But at the end of the day, Diddy, you did all of this shit. And now we finally see the evidence of it. There's no telling how many other videos that potentially can be coming out after all of this. Now, James, I have a question for you. Diddy's son, King Combs, he came out with a diss record recently. And in one of the verses, which I don't agree that he should even came out with this diss track at this time right now, but whatever. He says, police raid the crib like they think we selling crack, but we out here selling tracks. Multi-million-dollar plaques. Too bad they ain't know we bought the one next door because that's the one that they miss. Now, could this lead to further investigation and raids? Because it's like y'all just don't even care at this point. Y'all just putting all the evidence out there for us.
Right.
Well, yeah, obviously the police is watching every move, and the kids are a little young and naive to be releasing tracks like that when you have the feds really coming to your house and raiding everything and handcuffing you while they go through the house. That was very unwise. And like Puffy's video or Mr. Combs' video this week, for his son to shoot that kind of video or diss track makes no sense at all. It's like you're begging for attention. It's something I learned very early on as an attorney. They can always make a case against you. If you keep doing this, they will find a way to make a case against you and make an example of you. Even as we saw back in the days of OJ, we learned a lot about the police of LA and different things they would do to make a case. So to your question, I just think that was the kind of the dumbest thing King Combs could have done, Sean Combs' son. I think they should be laying low, keeping their mouth quiet, trying to work out their cases, because King Combs has a girl accusing him of sexual assault on a boat. So
exactly.
What you should be doing is releasing diss tracks. You should be trying to figure out how to deal with that, settle that, resolve that. And I think, again, it goes back to our good old boy Curtis Jackson. This family has that money that they just think, hey, we do whatever we want to do. Yeah. But today, this loss, we didn't discuss this, but this loss is like $1 billion hit to a family. Yeah. When you think of Ciroc, Sean John, Bad Boy, Justin's Restaurant, the Combs Publishing Catalog, Making the Band. I think Hulu was about to do a TV show on them. Yeah, Revolt. I mean, each of those entities are worth millions and millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions. And you just wipe all of that out. You know, it's like a stock market crash in your own internal family.
It's been building for a while. It's been building. This has all been building for a while. I just you know, I know that the sons, they grew up in a very different world where their father was like a god and nothing could ever. So that's just his ego and his youth doing this. But you guys do know that 50 Cent is moving forward with this documentary. The documentary has a home and it is in production. They are talking to quite a few people, and I think people that some fans are going to be surprised. Some people that have been quiet are actually cooperating and are going to be a part of this upcoming documentary. And so, you know, I guess 50 Cent is going to continue his television reign with documentaries because he's definitely doing an amazing job.
Well, that means I just literally have to throw this out there because I saw the other day, because I have like YouTube TV. So on Samsung, you know how they always advertise in the different apps. Baby, Tubi done beat everybody to it because they got a thing called the Downfall of Diddy. Okay,
and TMZ produced that one.
Oh, they did. So, and with it being on Tubi, that means we had people like this, you know. Footage. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll be extremely like intrigued by what 50 Cent has.
He's gonna go to a whole nother level. Trust me.
But we already got, you know, like it's a prerequisite. We already kind of know a little bit what to expect thanks to Tubi and TMZ. So,
Crystal and James, I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, CJ.
Oh no, go ahead. You're fine.
I was just gonna say, do you see all of these lawsuits becoming the demise of Diddy's success and him potentially becoming somewhat the next R. Kelly, where he's having to pay out all these lawsuits and these people? And to your point, James, all of these relationships and agreements that he had in place, he's no longer getting that money. Like, we've already seen him lose Revolt. We've seen him lose the Ciroc and De Leon relationships that he has. What do you guys think is next for his future?
You want me to go first? I know Crystal can go. You want me to go first?
Yeah, we'll leave the legal James's one to end it, because he has the actual legalities. Just from a PR perspective, I think this is the end. I think when you look at the legacies of people like R. Kelly and unfortunately Bill Cosby, at this point, I feel like there's no place else to go. It's too much. Seeing the way that this is rolling out, we know that there's more to come. And I think it's so damaging that I don't see him being able to come back from this in the way that he has been. I also think that the industry is setting up, there's going to be like a new regime. And I think a lot of people have been able to get away with, specifically men in power. I think the guards are changing, and that's no longer going to be the case. And so I definitely, as far as he's concerned, it's unfortunate because he's accomplished so much and been such an example of what can happen when you put your mind to it. But I think that this is also an example of power being abused, and and also those chickens always come home to roost. So my hope at this point is for all the victims that are out there, and then for his children. We saw today his two daughters posted, the twins. They went to prom. There's this adorable little baby Love, and also I'm hearing that he was possibly secretly married, allegedly secretly married to the baby's mother. So we don't know. All this is going to be interesting. It's going to play out. But what I do believe wholeheartedly is this is the end of the bad boy, regime that has happened and he's been able to transform and himself and to be relevant, over a 30-year span. And I think this is where it all, comes to end.
Wow. I would add, Ms. J, that I think she's correct. I think the end of Bad Boy Records and that whole persona, I think that's come to an end. But I think if we look at, say, Tiger Woods, we look at Dr. Dre, as someone just put on my feed, Dr. Dre hit Ms. Barnes and he came out and apologized. But the difference in those instances is that you had clients who could be managed, who could be contained, who could be coached, who could take the PR from Christal Jordan. This guy is a different breed. He kind of thinks he's a marketing genius. He kind of thinks, I know everything. So I only see him surviving this if he's willing to subject himself to a real crisis management team, go away for 3, 4, 5 years, raise your kids, raise your daughters, do soccer games, baseball games, get them into college, and then come back 5 or 10 years from now. A telling side note is Will Smith's movie opens next week, I think, or the week after. And I'm interested to see how this Bad Boys 3 or 4 will do if we all look back to the Oscars and how we all thought that was the end of Will Smith. But if this movie comes out, and the marketing campaign has been very smart, I've watched the rollout. If this Bad Boy movie comes out and it does the 100 million weekend or even the $75 million weekend, Will Smith is still Will Smith. And I think Sean Combs, aka Diddy, he has to kind of go away. Will Smith has gone away for a year or two and been kind of quiet. Sean Combs has to go away. And I just don't see him cooperating and listening to nobody. This video tells us he's not listening. This whole process is not taking it as serious as he needs to take it, because he doesn't. It's different when you need money. He's got enough money for 5 lifetimes. So for him, like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And he's probably quietly trying to feel any woman who would have something to come forward with. They've probably already got checks or checks are on the way.
So let me ask you this. With that video coming out on CNN, not TMZ, CNN, and it being one of the most reputable news stations there are, and the rumors that have always circulated around Kim Porter's death, do you feel that, well, let me say this. I know the family, from my understanding, is digging into a deeper investigation in terms of her death, but do you feel that this will reopen up the case for her death?
Well, I don't know. Has a case been opened first? I mean, I hope there's a thorough review. I don't think they've ever started a case against her.
I mean, I guess in terms of like when you pass away and then they do an autopsy. So not necessarily like legally Has there been a case? No. But the idea that Kim didn't just die, you know, like there was some
the people that I know who are very close to Kim, lifelong friends, they believe he had something to do with her death. And I tend to believe them too. Now, can we prove that? I don't know. Can anybody prove that? I don't know. But let me say all of this before we get off. Even with all that he's done, you know, the video, the allegations of Kim and different artists, I'm still a believer that if this man will do the work, he is now the billion-dollar face of a domestic abuser and what it looks like in the music industry and the entertainment industry. I'm still convinced that if he will go do the work and some serious work, he could save a lot of lives. That's my prayer. Because we can't just kick him to the curb and say he doesn't exist, he doesn't have power, he doesn't have money, he doesn't have influence. He has those 3 or 4 things. So the question begs, what do we do with him now? Assuming they can't lock him up because he paid everybody off or the statute has run, I'm of the opinion that we need somebody like him to be the face of this issue that's been quietly going on in our industry for years and in our Black community for years, to make him lock down and do some work, to really put some work and money and effort behind, you know, this issue. If he's really serious. If not, he's done. If not, he's done.
James, I love you, but I disagree vehemently. I feel like you can forgive, but we do not forget. Right, and I feel like the seeing, you know, I'm more concerned about Cassie being able to, you know, rebound in life emotionally. A lot of people keep pointing at the fact that she has won all this money, but I don't think people understand the emotional toll that physical abuse does on you. And also not just physical abuse, but the fact that the entire world has been able to watch this, how humiliating that is for her and for any of the other victims. We know that there are other victims, we just don't know to the extent. But I think my concern and my hope is you know, lies with the victims and the people that have dealt with that. Her parents. I mean, I can't imagine as a mother watching that video and knowing that your daughter.
What do we do with him, Crystal? What do we do with him? What do we do with this influence and power?
I don't think we need to do anything with him. I think that at this point, he needs to figure out that is a journey that he has to go on himself. I don't feel like just because he has been successful. That's the problem I feel like we have. Success, just because you're successful does not mean that you should not be held accountable for your crimes, right? When you hurt people, you have to pay for that. And so as a result, his fame and his notoriety should be stripped. I don't think that like I said, we can forgive, but that really is between him and God. That is not between us. If he wants retribution, that has nothing to do with us. As far as him moving forward, I think that's really a personal journey that he's going to have to go on. And I also think that throwing money at it, because as we know, he has money, he has access. When you're around people that have that level of money he knows he can get it again. Money is not going to be the fixer. I think he needs to, you know, have some emotional, some soul work that has nothing to do with fans. And so for that reason, I'm saying I, as a fan, and I've been a fan of the music for years, but I have no concern and no desire to see what happens with him moving forward as far as him getting back in the public's good graces. My concern is for all the people that have been victims and hoping that they're able to do that. And I think that at some point we have to stop allowing people, because they're successful, to get away with things that we would not allow other people to get away with.
No, I don't think the people who are typing on my feed, I don't think anybody's suggesting let him get away. I think people are saying put him in the charity work, put him in the saving lives, not the people he's already hurt, saving thousands of future people with his power, influence, and money. I think that's the mindset. Like, what can he do to stop the next Diddy in our music industry?
To be honest, do you think anybody will really want to partner with him after seeing these videos?
I personally don't want to see him in that place. I don't.
Can I answer? You asking me, Ms. J? I think today the answer is no. But to Crystal's point, if he goes and does the work over some time, not tomorrow, not next month, not next year, you're talking 5-10 years out, he can, I think, influence as a OG who's retired and in the sunset, got money, raising his kids, raising his grandkids. I made a mistake. I lost everything. And I'm coming back to teach some of these young boys how to be under control. I think he has that potential long run out, but only God knows.
I feel like the only message that he'll do, if that's the case, because I don't see him in that space, is let me show you what to do not to get caught at this point. Like that's literally where we at. I don't see him in that space. I don't see him being in a space of like, I'm here to support women that are abused or there are men that are abused. I don't see him doing that.
Ike Turner never did it. Ike Turner never just.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he could turn any leaf like that.
No, it's okay. Not everybody is going to do that. When I was watching him, he seems to me like the embodiment of Nino Brown. Yes, we would have loved at the end of New Jack City for Nino Brown to be like, I'm sorry for poisoning the community, but that's not what he felt. He was angry and arrogant to the very end, holding up the little girl to be killed. That's just not who he is. And it's okay. Not everybody's going to have this moment. OJ didn't have it. Ike Turner didn't have it. There are certain people that's not who he is. And I feel like it would come off as, I would never believe it from him. I would believe he is a marketing genius. Mm-hmm. And so I would believe that he was, he was doing his Diddy. No.
But guys, remember, we're talking today. We're talking today where I have posted, I wish I could put my hands on him. Now, 3 years from now, I don't know where I'll be depending on how he moves the next 3 years. And I'm not talking how he moves publicly. I'm talking about how he moves privately for those of us in the industry, what we hear him doing privately. Because I don't think he's going to, if he's smart, he's not going to be visible with what he's doing privately. We'll know because we're on the inside and we'll hear, oh, he's being treated by this doctor, or he's at this facility, or he's, raising the kids, or he's at soccer games. So putting your hands on him today, and I probably shouldn't be encouraging violence, but a lot of us men are so fed up. We really was hoping like one of us want to just run into him by coincidence today somewhere.
Well, I know this is a conversation that we can talk about for hours, honestly. And it sounds like we need a whole nother part too, especially when some other evidence comes out. So with that being said, I want you guys as just closing remarks on, with what R. Kelly went through in terms of he got convicted, and no, Diddy is not criminal, it's all civil, but he did get his music pulled and from big music platforms. What do you guys think we can expect next when it comes to even his music, his catalog, or even like cases, like these civil cases turning to criminal cases? Like, what are you guys' closing thoughts on that, sir?
I know for me, I think that as a culture, we have to learn how to separate the art from the artist, right? And I say that because I have conversations, in the music industry with friends that it's like, I love R. Kelly's music, or I personally am a big fan of The Cosby Show. And I don't, I feel like Bill Cosby is different than Heathcliff Huxtable. And I can separate those two at this point. Even with R. Kelly, I don't listen to R. Kelly's music because to me, a lot of R. Kelly's music perpetuates what he was doing. It's mostly sexual. But I was one of the fans that went to the Bad Boy 25th anniversary, and it was one of the best times of my life. I grew up, with that music. And so I think if we were to take away the art of everyone that has acted out of character, acted in ill will or of ill repute, we would have very little art left, right? At this point, if we were able to see through and see the behind the scenes of different things, most people are flawed. A lot of artists are flawed. And so this is just Christal's opinion. I think at some point we're going to have to learn how to just, disconnect or to separate the art from the artist. That being said, I do think that there should be things put in place, stipulations put in place that James can speak more to where those people that have committed those type of crime should not be able to benefit off the art. I mean, a lot of R. Kelly's work, a lot of Diddy's work, they produced with a lot of other people. So if we cut off their ability to make money, we also will cut off a lot of the people that they work with ability to earn money. And honestly, a lot of the art that they created was beautiful and has merit and has value. And I definitely don't want to take away from that. But I do think we have to put stipulations in place. I have a problem with the fact that rape, you are able to be prosecuted for rape years later, and physical violence, you're not. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of work that we need to do on the judicial system to where things are a little bit more fair. The fact that Bill Cosby drugged some women and allegedly raped them, and that was able to be prosecuted 20 years later. And this happened 8 years ago. And because it's a different, I just think there's so many issues with the judicial system that need to be worked out. And hopefully that can happen. And lastly, I just think that as women, specifically women of color in entertainment, I think that we are coming into a new space where so many women don't have to be intimidated or abused and have to stay silent. And that's a beautiful thing. Men or women, but specifically women, because that's what has happened so often with men in power. And so I think that's a beautiful thing, because it's not just Cassie, there's many, many other Cassies that have been living under this. And hopefully that will help some of them feel like their voices are heard and that their stories matter.
Along that same lines, I agree with everything she said. I think there should be a movement to get control of his catalog, to make sure if money is being made, his team is committed to putting that money back into charities, putting it back into the artist's hands. If his companies are still going to run, then we need some commitment with regards to where women will stand in those companies, positions of power, of course, DEI, of course. But I just think he has to do something. He and his team have to do something to show, hey, we get it. We get it. We have a nightmare here. And I love what Revolt did. They stripped him of his board membership. I think he had to turn the company over, I believe. I love the 18 companies that have cut ties with him. I think until he does the work, everything is a no-no. I think radio stations should pull his music, or he gives them the consent, i.e. BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, Sound Exchange. These, for the people who are listening in, these are the companies that pay the royalties when music is played or on the air or on the digital streaming network. These companies should make sure that music or that money goes to anybody but him if they're going to continue to play his music. Lastly, I think that he needs to just get off social media. I just think, please, because you're causing so much pain for all the women. If you're really sorry, just leave social media. If you are really, really sorry, like, give these people a chance to heal. Give our industry a chance to heal. Go away. We don't need a video. We don't need a statement. Go to court. Go focus on your cases. And I'll say this on this show, right before his last lawsuit, I was talking to his lawyer, and I was telling Jonathan Davis, you need to do something. This is getting ready to get really bad. And then, lawsuits came out, and it's just gone all the way downhill since I spoke to Jonathan maybe 2, 3, 4 months ago. Because I saw we were trying to resolve some things, and they kept saying, oh, everybody's suing him, everybody. And they were not taking it serious. They just thought it was a joke because they're making their money. And I'm going to be real. He has a lot of white attorneys advising him. I've never seen a black attorney advising Sean in over 30 years. I've never dealt with a black attorney on his behalf. And I've dealt with a lot of the people who rep him, represent his publishing company, his restaurants. In-house, he's had a black guy in-house from Harvard, but he hasn't had anybody on the outside, his real counsel, who's of color. And I really believe there's some sensitivities that we bring to the team when you have a black publicist or black manager or black host or black lawyer. There's things we give you. This is how this is going to go over in your community.
Right.
You can't do this video, and you definitely can't wear that shirt. What are you wearing? Women, you haven't bathed in 2 days. I mean, like, come on. I'm sorry. I told y'all there's a few folks that wanted to put hands, and y'all gonna have to pray. Yeah, just pray for me.
I love it. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Miss J, did you have any last remarks?
Really quickly, I just want to say maybe he needs to take a page out of Russell Simmons' book if he has not already. He needs to go to an island, be secluded, to your point, James, be with his family, raise his kids, and just let all of this work itself out privately. We don't need you constantly coming out, giving out statements personally on your social media. We don't need you continue igniting this fire that has already started. You add more fuel to the fire. We don't need that. And really quickly, anybody who is dealing with domestic violence, or somebody who is, there is help 24/7 with the National Domestic Hotline, which is 800-799-7233. Please seek help. And there's help for abusers out there as well. So please seek that help as well if you are an abuser.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this is a conversation I know that can go on for hours, and I feel a part 2 brewing up, but just not tonight. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in to this Insta News break, because Diddy did it. Okay?
He did.
There's no more question. He did it. So James and Christal, please tell our viewers how to follow you, how to keep up with what's going on.
Sure.
Christal?
I'm at James Walker Jr. ESQ on Instagram, and I'm Attorney James L. Walker Jr. on Facebook. And love to hear from you. Love to hear your feedback. If there's something we're missing, or if there's something you got from this that you want to share, please hit me up.
And I am at The Real Christal Jordan on Instagram, and also at Enchanted PR on Twitter. I'm also from Crystal with Love XO on YouTube, but definitely agree with James. Would love to hear your feedback. I believe in operating in love, but I also believe that love includes accountability. And I think that sometimes as a community, we have to do difficult things. So I would love to hear your feedback and look forward to coming back and doing this again.
Miss J, let us know, baby.
Yes, you guys can follow me on all social media platforms at MISSJordan_radio, and tune into KISS 104.1 every single morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You might catch a girl on there every now and again.
And Saint CJ, I want to
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to encourage all artists who are signed to Bad Boy to demand your release immediately. I want to make sure I leave that as a closing point. If you're a writer, producer, publisher, artist, demand your release now.
Now is the time.
And
now
James is clients. So with that being said, I am at saintc8state.cj on Instagram. Also, you can find me and the lovely Miss J on at InStyle Atlanta. So follow us on there. We have a show called InStyle Atlanta Uncut. It's on Amazon Prime. Don't play with us. So until next time, just do your thing and be blessed. Don't stress and don't do what Diddy did. We out.
Thank you.
How long is this little thing, Carmen?
What would happen if a struggling woman moved to Atlanta from New York to start a celebrity blog with little connections and little money? Baby, I'm still trying to figure that out. Not only do you guys have to think about who it is that you want to interview from, a perspective of, oh, there's a new movie coming out, there's this coming out, but you need to keep your ears to the streets. I've invested everything in it. If I fail, everything is back to square one.
So instead of just thinking of Atlanta as the Black Hollywood, Atlanta is the new Hollywood.
I hired a new assignment manager. Her name is Nina.
I didn't come to make friends. I came to make the business work. You have to be a certain type of way. So when you're a homeboy this, a homeboy that before your interviews, it's not professional. I just feel like it's just not.
Everybody can get it. And she gonna catch me on the wrong day whether I'm sleepy, hungry, or God forbid I'm both. It's good.
Okay, so Sky will show up not like this, but she'll show up to the red carpet like this to do interviews. She be looking a hot mess on the red carpet.
What is that? Okay. No.
Destiny lives in Alabama.
And she's trying to work here?
And she didn't tell me. She came so late.
Like how late?
It was over.
I don't want to hear Carmen keep coming to me about you.
I will not be pushed around by anyone.
I'm gonna go check in with Lena. She's about to get sentenced to possibly 5 years in prison. Shayla and Jet, they don't really get along.
I ended up Googling Jonesy and ended up finding out some stuff. If you keep asking me about my best friend, it's gonna be a problem. Let it go.
I had enough respect for you to not sit here and say to you when we was in that mother meeting. So you better be thanking God for that.
Thank God for
You should. Cause I should have waxed your ass in.
These bitches, they better get it together. It's go time.
Let me start and clear up some shit. I'm here to run a business. So let's get that all the way straight. I have to let you know.